lovely dears, welcome to this new Italian tutorial. This tutorial will be about nationalities. So, how we say the nationalities in Italian. Now, let's start saying that actually there are no real rules for how to form the nationality. So what you do, you take the name of the land and then you add a suffix, and there are different sort of suffix that you can add. So you can add different endings to make it more clear. And so there is no rules for when you have to use one kind of ending, when you have to use another kind of endings. So there are different kinds, but there's no real rule for which kind you have to use, depending on the country. So let's start with the first kind of ending that you can add. So, which is anno. So what you do, you take the name of the land, and instead of the last vowel, you add these three letters, anno. So, for example, Italy in Italian is Italia, and so if you want to say Italian, what you do, you take the land Italia, and the R goes away, and instead of the R, you add anno, so becomes Italiano. Now, once you have done this, then the land becomes an adjective. So becomes the nationality. So becomes an adjective, and it behaves like the adjectives with the four endings. I made a tutorial about adjectives, and so I will link it in the description below. So if you want more information about it, if you want to brush it up, and so to be reminded a bit what they are and how the adjectives work in Italian, you can always have a look at that tutorial. But anyway, so this is the first kind. So the first way that you make the nationality. So you take the name of the land, and instead of the last vowel you add anno, so it becomes Italiano, for example, from Italia. And then, as I said, it works like an adjective with four endings. So Italiano is the male singular, but then for a woman becomes Italiana, and then in the plural becomes Italiani for male, so masculine plural. Italiane for female, for feminine plural. So you have Italiano, Italiana, Italiani, and Italiane. Now, another example of this kind can be Americano, so from America. America is in Italian, what mostly used to refer to the States. So, if you want to say from the States, in Italian you can say also Americano. So you pick America, and instead of the last A, you say anno, you add the anno, and then becomes Americano. And so then it becomes Americana for a woman, and then in the plural becomes Americani and Americana. So that's the first kind. Second kind is when you add ese. So you pick the name of the land, and instead of the last letter, the last vowel of the land, you add ese. So, for example, if you want to say from the Netherlands, so the Netherlands in Italian it's called Olanda, and so you pick Olanda, and instead of the last vowel you add ese. So Olanda becomes Olandese. And in this case, the adjective that you make, the nationality, so this adjective, works like an adjective with two endings. So is Olandese for the singular. Both you can use it both for masculine and feminine. And in the plural becomes Olandesi. So ends with an e. Or I if you want to use the English spelling. So Olandesi for the plural, and both feminine and masculine. So actually in this case there's no difference between masculine and feminine, it is only difference between singular and plural. Something that can be important is that sometimes you add the desinents, but you have also to make some adjustment in the word that you use. Because for example, if you want to say from England or from the UK, in Italian, England and so for by extension all the UK, we used to call it Inghilterra. So if you want to talk about the United Kingdom, you say Regno Unito. But to talk about it, you can also say England. You can also use the word England. So in Italian becomes Inghilterra. So Inghilterra is used for England, but also for the whole UK and Italy. And so all this to say that, so you have Inghilterra, but the nationality, so English, in Italian is Inglese. So you have this ese at the end, but you don't make it from Inghilterra, so it's not Inghilterrese. No, doesn't work. Inghilterra becomes Inglese. So sometimes in the middle of the land, there are some adjustments before you add the desinents. Or for example, if you want to also go back to the previous group, from Egypt, in Italian you say Egiziano. So Egypt in Italian is Egitto. But when you want to make the nationality, it doesn't become Egittano, becomes Egiziano. And so, yeah, also in that case, for example, you had to make an adjustment. Now, the third kind, so the third way that you can make nationality, a nationality out of a land, is adding the desinents ense. So for example, from the United States, the United States in Italian is Gli Stati Uniti d'America. And so if you want to say from the States, it becomes statunitense. So we have also nationalities that end in ense. Or from Panama, so Panama stays the same also in Italian, then becomes Panamenense. And also in this case, this works like an adjective with the two endings. So you have the end in a e for singular, in an I for the plural. So it's statunitense, panamense for singular, and statunitensi, panamensi for plural. So this is the third kind. The fourth kind is made by adding the desinents ino. So before, from Argentina. Argentina in Italian is Argentina, so actually there's not much difference. But if you want to make the nationality, so from Argentina, then it becomes Argentino. And also this one works like the first one, so like the adjective with the four endings. So it becomes Argentino, Argentina for the feminine, then is Argentini and Argentine for the plural, so masculine and feminine. Or another example of this kind is from Algeria, so Algeria in Italian. And if you want to make the nationality, then is Algerino, becomes Algerino. And then of course for the feminine it becomes Algerina, and then plural becomes Algerini and Algerine. Now another kind is when you add eno, so the desinence is eno. This happens, for example, if you want to say from Iraq. Iraq, so in Italian is pronounced Iraq. And if you want to say from Iraq, then it becomes Iraqeno. So you pick the land and you add this eno. And of course, in this case, the Q of the land, there is the name of the land, when you make the nationality, it becomes a CH to have the same sound, because you can't keep the Q, otherwise you will need also a U, and so it just can't be kept. And so, but to have the same sound, it is transformed in C plus H. If you want to learn more about the Italian sounds, about the C, the G, I made a tutorial about that, and I will link also that in the description below, so you can have also more information about that. The last two ways in which you can make a nationality, so the last two kinds of descendants that you can add is basically just an O. So this happens, for example, when you want to say Greek. Now, Greece in Italian is Grecia, and if you want to make the nationality, so the adjective out of the land, what you say is Greco. So actually the last two vowels go away in this case, and becomes, so Grecia becomes Greco. And then also this one behaves like an adjective with four endings. So it's Greco, then for the masculine, but becomes Greca for the feminine, and then becomes Greci and Grece for the plural, masculine and feminine. Or you do the same, for example, also with Russian. Now Russia in Italian is pronounced Russia. So if you want to then say Russian, what you do, you use an O instead of the last two vowels. So Russia becomes Russo, and then also in this case becomes Russa for feminine, Russi and Russe for the plural. And then the last one is with an E. So you add an E. I'm using the English spelling, so the E if you want to use the Italian spelling. And so what you do, you pick the name of the land, and instead of the last vowel you add E. An example is what from in Italian we pronounce Estonia and Lettonia. For example, in these two cases, the last two vowels go away and you use an E. So from Estonia becomes Estone, and from Lettonia becomes Lettone. And these ones work like an adjective with the two endings. So you have Lettone, Estone for singular, and Lettoni, Estoni for plural. So this is mostly about nationalities. Actually, as I said, so we have these different descendants that we add, but there's no rule for when you have to use one, when you have to use the other. You have just to learn it. There are also other kinds of descendants that we use, but that are not so common. So, for example, from Poland in Italian is Polonia, and then becomes Polacco, the nationality. So you add this acco, and then it becomes like a word with an adjective with the four endings. So it becomes Polacco, Polacca in the singular, so for feminine and masculine, and then Polacchi and Polacche for the plural, masculine and feminine. But in this case you have to put the H in both cases. You have to write the H in both cases when you make the plural. Or another case is from Spain. Spain in Italian is Spagna, and so the nationality becomes Spagnolo, and so you add this olo desinence, and so is Spagnola for the masculine and Spagnola for the feminine. This is in the singular. And the plural becomes Spagnoli and Spagnole for masculine and feminine. Or sometimes we add an eta desinence. So, for example, for Vietnam, so it's the same in Italian, of course, isn't it? It doesn't change. And when you want to make nationality, then becomes Vietnam Ita, and or Ota. So, for example, from Kenya also stays the same in Italian, of course. So the nationality becomes Kenyota. So yeah, that is Ota. What is important here is that, as you see, is Vietnamita, Kenyota for masculine. Because when you talk about an adjective, you always start with a masculine singular. And also, if you want to find an adjective in a dictionary, what you have to search is the masculine singular form. But anyway, so as you see, there are also these nationalities which end in an A for masculine. And these behave like the adjective with the three endings. We have also seen them in the tutorial. So they end with an A for masculine and feminine in the singular. So it's Kenyota, Vietnamita for a man and a woman. So there's no difference in the singular. But there is a difference in the plural. So becomes Vietnamiti for man and Vietnamite for women. So you don't make a difference in the singular, but you make a difference in the plural. So, and another desinent is eño. So, for example, if you want to say from El Salvador, becomes Salvadoreño. And this also works like an adjective with the four endings. So, it's Salvadoreño, the masculine singular. Salvadoreña, feminine singular. And then Salvadoreñi and Salvadoreña for the plural, so masculine and feminine. A very, very, very last thing. Germany in Italian is called Germania, but the nationality is not Germano, is not Germanese, is nothing of that. It's Tedesco. And this works like an adjective with the four endings, so it's Tedesco, man, Tedesca for a woman, and then in the plural is Tedeschi, masculine, Tedesche, feminine. And also in this case, beware that you also write the H, otherwise it becomes Tedeschi and Tedesche. No. So, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumb up, and please subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. And if you want to be always up to date with what I do, with what I post. As always, feel free to post any comment, any question that you have. If you want to request any topic in particular, feel free to do it. Thanks for watching, and see you next tutorial. Ciao ciao!